Welcome back to Wargaming World, to Vietnam 1968, and to another game of 1 hour Wargames. Let's just take a look at some forces to start off with. So let's start with the Australians. So they're going to be in fire teams. So we've got fire teams here. It's 3 men plus either an NCO or a leader of that group, and we're going to factor in during the game how those leaders are going to be added in for an additional rule. So if you see there, we've got 4 units in total. Then over on the right hand side we've also got a 5th unit, which is going to be and is a light machine gun team. See if you can see that a little closer. And then on the right hand side we have a 6th unit. 6th unit can arrive via this Huey, and I'll talk through a little later about how we're going to add that into the game. Now, Vietnamese forces, again we've got a similar structure. So we've got the fire teams of 3 men and a leader with them. There's 4 figures in total. We have a combination of the units, some with rocket launchers, others a light machine gun. And then at the front there we've got another unit which is a mortar team, and that's going to be used with indirect fire, but it has to be called in by each of these particular units. Now this is the scenario we're going to play, which is the surprise attack. Now just for knowledge, it's the chapter 22. Talks about the solo Wargames options. I'm going to use some of these in this game. So the way we're going to play this is that the first thing to do is to roll where 3 of the 6 NVA units are going to be deployed, whether it's going to be on the left hand side, the centre, or on the right hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, quite obviously. Okay, it's 4, so 3 units are going to be in the centre. I'm going to have 2 units. The next 2 are either going to be on the left hand side or the far right hand side. So 1, 2, 3 is the left hand side. No, it's on the right hand side, and that means that the final one, which is going to be the mortar, is on the left. Now, a couple of additional rules. First is that I'm going to bring in the helicopter. In the game itself, the units come in turn 9. So we've got 2 units. So we've got an MG team and also another infantry unit. So they will appear in turn 9. And I'm going to say that we can come in anywhere on the table, but if it's, I'm going to say within 24 inches of the rocket launcher, they can be fired at, and much like the game, they can take 15 hits as normal. However, if they take a 6 when we're calculating the casualties, that might be a critical hit. So we roll again, another 6, and it's destroyed. Now if the helicopter is coming in to land, it's still holding the unit, then we lose the units as well. So that's how we'll use it when it comes to turn 9. So yeah, it should be useful at that point. Now I'm going to add this into the game. I like this idea of the use of cards, where each turn we'll see whether there is something happens for the various units. Now, each of the units, both the Australians and the NVA, have a leader. And so what I'm going to factor in here is that if the units don't move or fire in that turn, they can improve their casualty figure by 1. It's going to be the NVA who starts at the beginning of each turn. So for turn 1, first card will be this one, and it's going to be an ace. So nothing happens for that. So we just continue through their turn. And turn 1 is the deployment of this force. So this is where the game starts effectively for the NVA. And so it turns to the Australians, and what do they get for their card? it's a 5. Now, I think that is an action. So, I know I've slightly confused the situation by reducing the numbers by 1, but it's 1 to 4 is no event. Okay, 5 and 6 is confusion, so it'll be 1 to 3 of the own units can't move in this turn. So in fairness, I'm going to say they're going to stay in their position, and that effectively is the end of turn 1. Over to turn 2, and to draw a card out for the NVA. Alright, so card for the NVA. Right, the Queen's definitely going to be something. Right, okay, I thought it would be sensible to pencil in the correct numbers. So the Queen's going to be 12. It would be rally, so 1 to 3 of your own units remove hits. However, nobody's taken any so far, so it's just over to NVA movement. And these are the rules that I'm using. So movement for infantry is 6 inches. Alright, from left to right, I've moved this unit 6 inches further forward. I've then got one in the middle, and we've got another moving here closer to the Australian units. Right hand side, we've got the other 2 units there, so this one and this one. Appreciate they might be a bit difficult to pick up on the video, but these are the 2 units moving across. Over to the Australians, and the Australian card. So 2, so nothing happens. Now, there's certainly a line of sight in terms of being able to see the NVA approaching. So I think there'll be some movement with the Australians. So I've just manoeuvred some of the Australians still in cover, slightly advanced there, and the same on right hand side, and that's the end of turn 2. Time to draw a card for turn 3. So NVA card. It's an ace. Nothing happens. Now, starting on the other side, I've moved these 2 units further forward so they can get towards past the river before it thins out into this paddy field. But then I've moved the 3 units further forward. So this one is now close and in view of the Australians. We've then got the unit in the middle and the one over on the left hand side. Now, before the Australian units can react, I need to draw a card. What do I get? 10. So that's certainly something. Well, that's helpful because that prompts initiative. So a single unit may fire twice, or move twice, or move and shoot. I think it's going to be firing twice. Now, I'm going to say that this unit can see this one out in the open. It's near enough, so it can fire. It could fire twice, but I'm not going to select it with that one, so I'm going to roll for that in a second, which is 1d6. This unit isn't in a position to fire unless it moves, so I'm going to move it, and then I'm going to fire at that unit, which will be to some extent obscured. So I'm going to say that the unit it's going to fire at is in cover. Now, what I've almost forgotten to do at the start of turn 3 is that the Australians also get 2 more units in this area. So I'm going to say we've got one coming in here on this side, and unit over here. So we're here on the left hand side. Right, so I've moved, or I've put those 2 in. I've moved this unit slightly further forward so it can fire. So the one on the right hand side is going to fire at this unit, although it is in cover, and this one here is going to fire at that unit out in the open. That's off with the one out in the open. It's a 3, and the one in cover, so it's halved rounded up to 3, so it's going to be 2. Okay, so we start with an NVA card. 7, so certainly something. Right, not good news. Ammunition shortage. 1 to 3 of the units can't fire this turn, so we'll have to work out how many and which ones. So 1 to 3, so 1, 2 is a 1, etc. So it's just going to be 1 unit. 6 units left to right, starting at the mortar, so let's work that out. So it's going to be 5 Going left to right means it's going to be that one can't fire, but that's not a problem, it'll just move. So over to the movement in turn 4 for the NVA. Right, there's going to be limited movement because some of the units are already in cover and are going to fire, but first of all I'm going to move this unit that are in the centre just into the rice field there so they can get some cover. I'm going to move the second unit, the one that's further over to the right hand side, to the same position as the one in front. The one in front I'm going to call in some indirect fire from the mortar. That's where they get to, and I'm going to say it takes a turn before the indirect fire can appear. It means I've got two groups firing, this one here and this one over to the left hand side. First target, it's in cover, so it's half effect. So it's going to be a 3. This is the second target, again at half effect. Another 3 though. Start with a card. What do we get? Right, Queen, so that's going to be 12. Let's have a look at that. That's handy. 1 to 3 of the units can remove 1 to 3 hits. So, how many units? Okay, so it's going to be 2 if we were going to have 1 to 3, but it's only 2 who have taken casualties. 1 to 3 hits. So that's going to be 1 off the first unit. That's going to be 2, so that's pretty handy. This unit has moved into a firing position. The unit has moved up here on the right hand side, and some firing from the other 2 units. The first unit in cover, just the 1, that's up to 3. In the centre, again takes 1, so that's just 4. 5. And we'll start with an NVA card, which is an 8. It's another ammunition shortage, so I need to roll for that. To 3 units. Just 1. Is it going to be, if it's a 1, it's going to be the mortars. It's not, it's a 4. 4 means this unit can't fire. Right, so I've moved this unit. Actually, it was right on the edge at 12 inches, only 5 beforehand, so I've brought it, moved it closer in. I've also moved those 2 units further, so it's now supporting this one. This is the unit who can't fire and out of ammunition, so I'm not moving either, and as a result the leader has reduced its casualties from 3 to 2. So I can fire with that unit, and I will do, and I'll also fire with a mortar. Now when the mortar lands, it's +2 against infantry. So this is the mortar target, so it's this, so it's half. Sorry, anyway, let's just follow up. So we've got 2, +2 is 4, and so it's halved for casualties, so it's just 2, which takes that up to 3. This unit again is the target, and it's halved again for casualties, but it's 3, so we've got a total of 5. Australian card. 2, nothing happening. This unit has moved up against the riverbank, and the other 3 units will fire. All of the NVA units are in cover, so the first unit on the left hand side, that's 2 casualties here. In the centre, take a further 3, so that's up to 7, so that's 7 here, and this unit which had gone down to 2 and now only up to 3. New turn and a new NVA card. Right, okay, so if we've got a Queen, then I think that's a rally. How many of 3 units? It's 2 to right, so first one, it's a reduction of 1, and another reduction of 1, so down to 1 and 6 respectively. These 2 units have moved further forward. The other 3 will fire, also fire with the mortar. Need to try and get close enough at some point where we can try and negate the cover. It's that's really limiting the casualties there, and it's going to, in terms of time, really impact the NVA removing the Australians. Either way, let's carry on. It's shooting mortar target, so it's +2 and then halved. So again, it's 2, so that unit will be up to 5. This unit's going to fire at the same target, again halved. It's going to be 3 though, so that unit is now up to 8. Of these units are going to fire at this unit here, which is currently, I think, at 5. What have we got here? 3 and 1, so up to 9. The Australians and their card. 4. There's going to be nothing. Start off, I've moved this unit up onto the riverbank. This one and this one at this unit here that's in cover. And this unit will fire at this one in cover. All the nearest unit. So we've got, that's just 1 plus, it's going to be 3, so 4. And so that unit's up to 7. Third unit takes 2. I think that just takes it up to 3. We've played 6 full turns, and the Australians are now starting to take quite a lot of casualties in comparison to the NVA units that are advancing. They get some more reinforcements in turn 9. We've got a couple of turns to go yet. However, the NVA have got to advance and get past all 4 of these Australian units to get through to the crossroads. So fairly even Stevens as we turn to turn 7. NVA card. Joker appears for the first time. Right, so this is a good card for the NVA because we've got an enemy panic. So a single enemy unit takes 1 to 6 hits, so we're going to have to work out which one it is and then how much they take. If it's a 5 and 6, so it's a 2. So this was going to be the 1, so it's actually this unit here that takes 1d6 and it already has 9. So if we roll a 6, this unit is removed. How much damage it takes? Just the 1, so that unit's up to 10. Alien's got a little bit, or got off a little bit lightly with that one. Use these, or moved these 2 units. Moved them at half effect effectively, so 3 inches, but this one, nearest one, has now come very close here, and in the next turn can take on this unit directly. There's no hand-to-hand fighting, I would add, but come very very close. So we've then got 3 more units. So what we do with these, advanced with this unit as well, knowing that we have to move at half effect, but we've got to take the area. So I'm going to fire with this one and with the mortar at this unit. It's plus 2. So it's going to be just 2. That unit's up to 12 though. Then the infantry firing, if it's a 6, it knocks it out completely. And that is a 6, so that unit is out. That unit took 2 from the mortar and then 3 from the infantry, so that is removed. Firing is the infantry firing at this unit, which is on 8. So it's another 2, so it's up to 10. So in the end, actually, that card did make the difference, although it lost only 1, or it took only 1 from the casualties. In the end, they took 15 in total. So we've now got the advancing units of the NVA into this space. So pressure on the Australians as we turn to the Australians in turn 7. What card do we draw? Oh, it's another Joker. Right, so this time it could be, it's one of the enemy units, Australian enemy unit. Which one? Let's work that out first. That's 1, so actually that's going to be the mortar team, and the impact is just 1. So this unit is going to fire at the advancing unit there. I'm still going to say it's in cover. I don't think it would advance straight out into the open when there's loads of cover available, so we just roll and it's at half effect. Just the 1 unit goes up to 7. Both of these units here will fire at the same target. It's this unit over there, the one on 7, half in the effect. 4, so that's 2 and 1, so 3 in total. That unit is up to 10. Turn 8, NVA card. 3, nothing's happening. Right, this is where these units are moving into. They're getting very close here. Again, there's no hand-to-hand combat, so it's going to be firing in the next turn. I am going to fire with the unit on the left-hand side here at this target. I'm not going to fire with the mortar. I possibly should have waited also in the last turn because I changed targets with the mortar, and maybe it should have been calling it in differently. Anyway, let's not worry about that now. So we've moved into this area. I'll do the firing in a second, and there's also going to be firing on this side back at this target again here. Just mentioned that I've moved this unit further forward again. There's a new target again, so just the 1. There we go, that's 1 on here. Unit's on 10, so it's taking more and more casualties, and it's taking 1 more, so it's up to 11. Australian card. What are we going to get here? 9, definitely something. It's not great. Demoralisation. Single unit on one's own side acquires 1 to 6 hits. Oh, 5 and 6, so it's number 1. So I've only 3 units out here now. So it's this one, takes 1 to 6 hits. Let's hope it's low. And it's 4, so that unit's up to 5. So movement, I've removed this unit out of the firing line. And we're drawn back here, and then hopefully over the next couple of turns it can get some morale back. Firing again. I'm going to fire at this unit, at the unit that's on 7. Perfect as always. Just a 1 again, up to 8. This unit here, that's its target. 2. Unit is up to 12, end of turn, over to the NVA. I feel like this game is going in the direction of the NVA. What they do for a card, nothing's happening there. I've moved this unit further forward. But for the remainder, I'm going to say that this unit calls in the mortar team, so I'm going to say that's its action. It's going to call in the mortar team to fire at that unit here. I've got 3 units, this one, and that one, which can fire at the Australians in here. On 5, well, that's a 6, so that's 3 to start with. 8. Now that's another 3, so that's 11. Where do we go? Another 2, so 13. The Australians. And before we bring in the reserve, let's see if we get anything with the cards. 8, what does that mean? It means there's an ammunition shortage. We've got 1 to 3 of your own units may not shoot this turn. So 1 to 3, how many units? 2. So which ones? So 2 is one by the river, one on the left hand side, and it is. Fortunately, it's this one and that one. And so we do have the Australians arriving here, and this is going to be the area that they land in. So the Australians land here and move away from the helicopter. They could have fired at the mortar team, but they need to support the units just protecting the crossroad. Over here this unit's on 13, so I'm going to withdraw it and get into some kind of position so it can't be fired on. This is where it moves to. Elsewhere this unit has improved its morale by 1, so it's down to 10. Finally we've got this unit. It's going to fire at this unit once again. And it's a 3, so with this unit having casualties already of 12, that unit is removed. So we've got all the troops on the table now, 5 units left each. The NVA are advancing successfully in this area, and over on the left hand side we've landed with the additional 2 Australian units. Turn 10, and the NVA card to start off with. What do we get? Got a 10. So initiative, a single unit of 1 of your own side may either move twice, move and shoot, or shoot twice. Now I've moved this unit. I will move others in a second, but I'm going to shoot there. I'm going to say that the Australians are still in cover. That's what we're trying to do. And so, because they're in cover, it'll still be 2, so it's up to 15, and that unit is removed. I'll move these 2 units, so they're covering this area here. So at the moment, there's only really that unit which is protecting the pass through to the crossroads, and they're already on 10, so it's getting very precarious for the Australians, and there's still some firing to come. Mortar firing is on this unit here. We got there, so it's going to be so yeah, 2. We added 2, so it's 4, so it's just 2 casualties for that unit. Now I had a look at the unit here to see if it was one with a rocket launcher, and it isn't. It's got a machine gun. So if that was the case, I'd have thought about firing at it when the helicopter was in the air, but it can't. However, it can fire at the unit which is now advancing, and it will. It is in cover, so therefore it's 2. There we go. Right, over to the Australians. Draw a card. So let's see what we get. There's a king. That's useful because it's a rally. We've got 1 to 3 of the units to reduce some of the casualties. I need to start off with just the one. As we're going to say, it's the one on the right hand side. Just the one, so it'll go down to 9. But I've moved this machine gun team so that it can fire in the next turn at that unit. Move this unit away from the river so it can add some element of defence on this side, facing against this or these advancing units. So I've got firing to do. I'm going to start with this unit firing at this one in the open. 2. Here I'm going to say the Australians are firing, and this unit again is also in the open. 3. It goes up to 6. That's the end of the turn, and we're over to turn 11. I think it's an intriguing game now. We've got Australians holding on the right hand side, getting some support behind them from the helicopter, and again the NVA advancing, getting close. So we've got 5 turns to go. Let's see how this one goes. An NVA card we get a Jack. 11 is initiative, so again it's you can do 2 things with 1 unit movement. I'll move these 2 units, moving now over very closely to the Australians the other side of this jungle area. Now, in terms of initiative, I'm going to fire first of all with this unit. That's the target, and that's 3 in terms of casualties. The unit is back up to 12. I'll fire again. So if it's a 5 or 6, that unit is going to be removed. It's a 2, so it's only 1, so that unit goes up to 30. Slightly out of sequence, but I've moved this unit into this trench. So, over to the Australians. Australian card first of all. What have we got? 5. Confusion. 1 to 3 of the Australian unit can't move. How many? 1 of them. 4 Australian units. It's the 4th, so it's the one furthest over to the right hand side. This one can't move. It doesn't matter, it's going to fire anyway. Now, this Australian unit has to move because it's got to get over onto this side to give some kind of support. So that's the first movement. Firing, we'll start over here. This machine gun firing at the unit in the trench. Off effect. That's 3, so that unit is up to 9. Both these units can fire at this unit which remains in the open. Second, 3, so that unit goes up to 8. Okay, so that's the end of the turn. Over to turn 12. And it's an NVA card. Okay, what have we got? Joker. Right, so a single Australian unit gets 1d6 hits. Which of the 4 units? Unit 3, what's this one? How many hits? 4, so that's up to 6. Movement wise, I've moved this unit further round, close to these 2 Australian units, and this one at the back in the same way, so over to shooting. This unit's going to fire at the Australians out in the open. That's 5. Units up to 7. Got this unit to fire. And that's a 3. This unit is eliminated. Australian card. Jack. Initiative, and that's super helpful because that means a unit could move twice. That's really fortunate because that's it's turn 12. The Australians have still got this unit in the area, as well as the one over on the other side there. So it's certainly not clear with 3 turns to go. So we do have other activity. So we've got firing from this unit. The target again in the open. Just the 1. It's up to 9. Then over here, machine gun firing into this unit. Just the 1. Unit is up to 10. Very close as we're on to turn 13. NVA card to start off with. It's a king. Rally, 1 in 3 of your own units improve in morale. Units we're talking about? 3. Well, I only have 3 units suffering from morale, so let's start with this one. That's an improvement of 3, down to 7. That's down to 8, and over here that's down by 3, so that's down to 5. In terms of movement, I've moved this NVA unit back towards the Australians. Obviously we've only got 3 turns left, and that card of the last turn where the Australians have moved into position is going to cause real problems. So I've moved there, so we're going to be over to shooting, starting here, firing at the Australians, but again they are going to be in cover. Just the 1, they're up to 8. I think realistically this unit must continue fighting, firing on that unit there, and that's, I'm going to say they're in cover. They're going to effectively just fire at each other, I think, for the remainder of this game. That's a 3. Over here, firing at the Australians in cover. That's a 3. It is up to 9, so it's a card for the Australians. So now 2, nothing's happening. Now, if I didn't fire or move here, I could improve the morale by 1, but I think that's unrealistic. So I'm going to say that the Australians fire here. Say the NVA are in cover, so that's 2. And this unit's firing. Now, they've been firing all of the time at that unit, but I'm going to change that because this unit has now appeared and is firing on them. So I'm going to say that they fire back and this unit is in cover. We got just the 1. Lastly, over here. And that's going to be 2. That is up to 9. New turn, and can these Australians hold on? It's so close. Start off with an NVA card. What have we got? 4 is nothing. Okay, over here we've got 2 units firing onto the Australians. I'm going to say they are in cover. 1. Second is 1, so that's 2. That's 10 over here. And that's 2. They are up to 11. And over here we're going to fire. Just the 1. I think that was enough. When we get to the last turn, we're going to have a card and potential casualties, but I think the Australians might be holding on here. Still, we've got to draw an Australian card. Draw here. And 10, what does that mean? Initiative. Single unit can do 2 things. With that, I'm going to move. I'm going to move that unit, and then I'm going to fire at this one so it can fire in the open. But it's only a 1, so that unit goes up to 11. We'll fire at the same target again. The aim with that one was to try and remove it, so it made sure that they could hold in the final turn. But it's 3. That one goes up to a total of 14. Finally, over here, one more is up to 10. Turn 15. As the light fades, the Australians desperately look to hold onto this area, and it looks like they might do, but the first thing is to see what the NVA card will be. So let's have a look. What are we going to get here? It's a king. It's a rally, it's a good thing, but it's not enough. It needed to be something else. So let's see who rallies. Units 2. Which one? So it's the one on the left hand side, and the one on the right hand side. Left by 2, down to 8. And the other one, 2, has no morale issues. For movement, I've moved this unit. They can't fire, so effectively I think the Australian units can't be removed. This one I'm going to say it fires at the one in the open behind it. It does, and it's removed. This one is in cover. It can't be removed by the other unit, but I'll roll. It takes 3 though. It's up to 13. The only way it could be removed is if the Australians draw a terrible card. I'll do the last firefight over here. And that's 3. This unit's up to 7. Right. The NVA haven't cleared this area. We still have 1 Australian unit in, and I just need to draw a card and make sure that it can stay there. It's all on the turn of this card. Oh, it's a 5. 5 means it's confused. Well, that doesn't really matter, because it means the unit isn't moving, and in doing so, it wins the game. And that's it. The Australian unit here holds this position, and therefore it isn't cleared within 15 turns, which is the victory condition for the NVA. An extremely close game, and one that I've really enjoyed playing, and I hope you've enjoyed watching as well. If you've got thoughts, ideas about other games we might want to play, then please feel free to come back to me, make suggestions and thoughts for other games for 1 hour war games. But I've really enjoyed this one, so I hope you have as well. And yeah, just to say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.